So my name is John and this is Sarah.
Hello.
And we're both paramedics from the London Ambulance Service. We're going to talk to you today about phoning for an ambulance and what the ambulance service does. And I know that you all know a lot about it. The most important thing that we think about first is how to get help if we need it. There is a special phone number that you can ring from any phone that enables you to ring for an ambulance, as well as the police or the fire brigade if you need them. Who knows what the number is that you dial when you need an ambulance? Somebody hasn't spoken? You haven't spoken yet? 999, very good. So 999, a very special number in England because it's free to phone from any phone, it's very short and it's very easy to dial. And it means that you can get help very quickly. When you ring 999, does anyone know what happens? Has anyone ever had to ring 999 first? Has anyone ever had to ring 999? Did you have to ring 999? What did you have to ring 999 for? If it's okay for me to ask.
My dad had a back sore, my dad had a back sore, so the ambulance had to come.
Okay, and did you ring 999? No, who did it? Your big sister. And how old's your big sister?
16.
16. Okay. Anyone else had to ring 999? No? Okay. So when you ring 999, you don't just ring it to get an ambulance, you can ring it to get the police or the fire brigade. So the first thing that they ask is what service do you require? And what they mean is you need to say, do you need the police? Or do you need an ambulance? Do you need the fire brigade? Or, if it's an incident in the River Thames, do you need the Coast Guard? Then you get put through to the ambulance control room, and the first thing they say is, tell me what's happened. They just want you to say really easily what's going on. So, what sort of things do we call an ambulance for? What sort of things might be an emergency that we call an ambulance for? Let's see if everyone can think of something, and we'll see how we go. So, let's start with you. What sort of thing? Falling down the stairs. So falling down the stairs, especially if it's a lot of stairs, or if it's concrete stairs in a block of flats, it might be very important that we check you over, because they might be quite injured. Something else?
A car accident on the motorway.
A car accident, so not only on the motorway, but also in the street. We get sent to a lot of car accidents. Can you think of anything? So you gave me a good one.
A heart attack.
A heart attack, very good. Now, that's a very important thing. Heart attacks can be very, very serious. And we need to make sure that we call for an ambulance whenever we think someone might be having one. Now, I know some of you are very young, but some of you are older. And we need to know about these things. Does anyone know what might someone be having? What might be wrong with them? What sort of things might they be saying is wrong with them if they think they're having a heart attack? Does anyone know what it is? They're having problems with their breathing. That's a good one. Does anyone know anything else?
Heart's beating fast.
So if they feel their heart's beating too fast, that can be a sign of something to do with your heart. But mostly what people have is pain in the middle of their chest. So if anyone's complaining of pain right up in their chest here, where you feel this bone is, that might be important that you call for an ambulance. What's really important for us to recognise as well, though, is differences in populations and differences between white, Asian and black communities. What we find a lot, and what we know from all of the work that we've done in the research, is that white people get chest pain when they're having a heart attack. Asian people quite a lot of the time don't get pain in the middle of their chest when they're having a heart attack, but they do get problems with their breathing and things like that. So sometimes it's very tricky to know what might be wrong with someone. What's important to know is that the ambulance service is always here to help. Now, When you get through to the control room, you've told them what's wrong. You say there's been a car crash, someone's injured. What's the most important thing we're going to need to tell them then? And that's where you need the ambulance to come to. So there's some very important things here. One, you should always know your own address, where you live. Does everyone know where they live? If they got asked, does everyone know their own address? Because some people don't know their own address. And what's very important, especially these days, if you ring from the phone that's in your house, the phone that's connected to a BT socket or a cable and wireless, then we know your address because it comes up on our computer. But if you ring from your mobile phone, you don't know where you are. You could be in Scotland, you could be in America, you could be in France. So if you ring from your mobile, it's very important that you know where you want the ambulance to come to. Another thing we have problems with is knowing the numbers of the houses down the street, especially at night. So what I want to know is, for all of you, put your hand up. If on the outside of your house, do you have what number of the street it is? Do you have what number of the street it is outside your house? Do you have the number painted outside or on a little plaque? So that can be very difficult for us. Now, sometimes we have to count, so we know that your house might not have a number on it, but the one either side might, but it can be very difficult. So sometimes what they ask you is if someone can meet the ambulance, if someone can go outside to wave the ambulance down when they get here. Because it's a lot easier for us to see you waving down the street than it is for us to try and wake up the house numbers. Of course, what's important there is that you send an older child out to the street because obviously they're standing in the road waiting for the ambulance. Okay. You're all very good at this stuff. How are we doing now, Ria? Are we okay?
I think so. It's good. Back home.
Okay. So, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to go outside, we're going to get some bags out of our ambulance and bring some equipment in, and we'll talk about what some of it does. Shall we do that? Okay, have a minute.
We have already made a cup of tea, so what you do is, both of you go and take, when they come in, you go and take the cup of tea.
There's a lot of stuff, you're right. Lots of
All the stuff, eh?
whole powerful.
Do you have machines in ambulance?
We have some machines, so we have a machine where we can look at your heart and see what's going on with your heart. And we put sticky dots all over your chest. That's called an ECG.
How is it how does the power come to the machine that the car?
No, so the machine has got two really big batteries on the back of it. They're like this big, and they've got two of them. What would be really good after we've looked at this is if you've got any questions, we're really happy to answer your questions. So while we're looking at all this stuff, we're going to think about some questions to ask if you've got one, and then we'll